channel. If you don't know me, my name is Jess, and I am a mommy vlogger of 2. So I did a poll on Twitter, and I asked what the topic should be for my next video. So many of you responded with a weight loss video, so that is what I'm going to share with you guys today. I've had some ideas kind of rattling around that I've wanted to film, and I just kind of wanted to know which one you guys wanted to see more, so that is what I'm going to share with you today. So this is a tough video for me, mostly because my weight has been an emotional topic for me for a long time. Sorry about my voice, by the way. I'm sick, so if I sound kind of raspy, that's why. But yeah, so my weight story really begins when I was a child. So after I turned 6 years old, my weight went up pretty drastically because after my father died, my grandmother raised me, you know, as a young child, and she would cook a large meal for me every day. She would give me tons of snacks. Anytime I was done eating, she would just kind of, you know, give me more. And I know that she meant well. She really was probably trying to comfort me or herself by doing it this way, but as a result, I suffered a huge weight gain, and I was a plus-size child. So that affected me for a long time. I mean, my friends in school, or people that said that they were my friends, you know, they teased me as a result, and a whole bunch of kids just made my life kind of miserable for a while. And I was a very unhappy kid. Like, I actually have diaries from when I was little, and I look back and there's all these entries about, you know, my weight and how people had teased me that day. And, you know, kids are mean, so I got through it. And in high school, I actually lost a lot of weight because I kind of sprouted up. I come from a very tall family, and that's just what seems to happen, I guess, when you hit that point in your growth as a child when you start to grow taller instead of, you know, just out the, you know, that way. So I just suddenly kind of lost a whole bunch of weight without really even doing very much of anything. Now, I have to kind of interject here a little bit, which might take me off topic, so I apologize, but I also became a vegan for a while in high school. Now, I'm not a vegan now, I'm a pescatarian, so I do eat fish and even egg products and things like that, some dairy. But I actually went full-out vegan in high school, not due to the weight issue at all, but due to, you know, how I felt about animals and just kind of like where my morals were at the time. So that may have contributed to the weight loss. But then after a while, I switched over to being a vegetarian. So when I was dating my first boyfriend, my first real boyfriend in high school, his mom cooked a lot of vegetarian foods in which she just kind of substituted cheese for meat. So you can imagine what happened to my weight there. So that's what happened. I went from going to a pretty nice size for me that I felt comfortable with to being a little larger again. So I became depressed pretty rapidly. And I want to point out that my depression with my weight has nothing to do with, it's not as much to do with other people as it is to do with me. Like, I just was unhappy being overweight. Now, as a child, other people had more of an influence over me. But as I became older, it was more not feeling comfortable in my own skin. Because ever since I had that, you know, smaller kind of size in high school, that's where I wanted to be. And at that time, I was not underweight, so I was at a very healthy weight until I gained the weight back when I became vegetarian. And I'm not saying anything, you know, bad about being vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, or being carnivorous or omnivorous. I'm not, you know, saying that any one of those are right or wrong. But in my naivety and not really knowing how to take care of that kind of diet and how to eat properly, and not having the funds and the free time and the travel capability to get myself the right kind of food for being a vegetarian, I just substituted bread and cheese for meat, and that is the worst thing you can possibly do for your health. So as a result of that, I had some little like health setbacks. Like I actually had a doctor tell me my blood pressure was on the cusp of being too high and that my blood sugar was up. So I started becoming really serious about my health and, cutting out a lot of that bad stuff, and then went back to being vegan again for a while until I settled into my pescatarian diet, which I'm in now, and it's been really great. Okay, so back to my weight. So honestly, I don't remember how much I weighed when I started gaining weight. I want to say it was probably around the 170 range, and I was just feeling depressed for other reasons as well. My first real relationship that had lasted all through high school for 4 years was ending. I just didn't feel connected to that person anymore, and I found another person that I really liked. So I was ending a relationship that was difficult for me while starting a new one, which is, not usually the best thing to do. So my headspace was kind of clouded, and I think that's why I picked on that weight as well. So I started taking martial arts, which is where I found the next love of my life. And so I took martial arts for 2 years, and during that time I was fit as a fiddle. I was happy with my weight. I was eating lots, but I was also eating very healthy. New people in my life, kind of showed me how to eat another way. So I was eating salads all the time. I was eating excellent, Middle Eastern food that, was shown to me by the new people in my life, and I learned how to cook a little bit. So these were all positive things that really helped to shape my weight. So I was down, at this point, I was about 150, and then I kept losing. So eventually from that 150, I went down to 140, and that was where I was happy. That was where I think that was my best weight. Now, after that relationship ended, again, it seems to be a pattern here. After that relationship ended, that was another 4 years, and that was a lot rougher on me. So at that time, I also had other things happening in my life. I was in college, and my grandfather had passed away. And see, these are the things that are tied to our weight, really. It's not just about your lifestyle, but it's about emotions, at least for me. So when I go through something, I guess that's when I tend to really put on a lot of weight. So I wasn't handling the death of my grandfather well. In fact, that was kind of a downward spiral in my life for a little while. So I ended up doing a lot of bad things. I was a college kid, so, the party life was a problem for a little bit. But I overate, and that's the thing, and then I stopped eating altogether. So I actually lost a lot of weight, and I went down to 120. And that for me was too thin. I had people say, you're getting too thin. Why are you losing so much weight? And of course I got really angry at them at the time, because I was like, this is where I want to be, I'm happy. And in reality, I was not. So I just didn't eat, honestly, and I didn't exercise either. So I wasn't really doing myself a favor by not eating. I was thin, I was model thin, but model thin is usually too thin. So that was the problem. And that lasted for a few more years until I met my husband. And even just a little bit into our relationship. But then I started putting on a few pounds, so I looked a little bit healthier. And then I became pregnant with Autumn. And this is where my weight really got out of control. So going from underweight to being pregnant is insane, at least for me and my body and my habits. It was a little much for me because I went from barely eating anything to my body saying, you're starving, you need to eat constantly. And I think that the body is smart, and I think it knows for people that are underweight and tall, have a big frame, I think your body tells you, you need to put on this amount of weight in order to make breast milk for your baby, to take care of your baby, to feed your baby, because my body was probably very depleted of a lot of minerals and vitamins from, not taking care of it for so long. So I gained 100 pounds. I went from 120 to 220. And I just couldn't. Every time I went to the obstetrician, I cringed, because that's the first thing they do is they check your weight and they say, come on, step on that scale. And I just did not want to see the number. And I didn't know what to do. I think I started eating for 2 when I found out I was pregnant a little bit, because I was actually worried about Autumn. And I said, well, what if, because I'm so small, like, what if she's not getting the nutrition that she needs? But as of course I read about it, I found that was not so. But my body really just all the time just wanted more and more and more and more food. And I think at that time it may be due to the fact that I didn't eat much protein. I ate a lot of salad, I ate a lot of healthy food, but I didn't eat a whole lot of protein. And that was just a little part of it, I know. So when I saw that I gained 100 pounds, I just was so shocked. And the doctor would tell me, maybe you should cut back on the carbs a little bit. And of course, when you're pregnant, you crave all of that bad stuff. Like, I literally craved cheese and macaroni, and so macaroni and cheese was my favorite thing in the world. Crab cakes, like fried food. I craved so many bad things, and that was just not good in the long run for my pregnancy. So, but on top of that, I ate so healthy. I put in as many fruits and vegetables as I possibly could. And to this day, I think that, the diet that I ate was not that bad with her. And maybe if I would have restricted my intake of, maybe like the macaroni and cheese and things like that, it would have been a little better. But I do feel that this was not an accident, because even though I had lost all this weight after I had Autumn, I exercised, and, I ate right again, and I had bento boxes for lunch that I just packed like small little salads and things like that in. I lost most of that weight. I got down to 160, which I think is not bad for me, me being my height and everything and my age. So I got down to 160, and I was okay with that. I was like, yeah, I should lose a little bit more, but this isn't too bad. But then I became pregnant with Lachlan, and I had the same problem. So I thought the first time, like, okay, well, it was my fault. So with Lachlan, I really restricted myself. Like, I barely, ate any bad kind of foods whatsoever. I ate protein bars to try and fill myself up. I ate a lot of eggs, like protein, and it didn't actually help that much. So I did only gain 50 with him, but that's because, like I said, I was at 160. But I still went up to 210 pounds, and that's not okay. So that's why I think for me, it's definitely, it has something to do with my body in its pregnant state, that it needs a certain amount of calories, vitamins, minerals, and it wasn't getting what it needed. So I know that on my mom's side of the family, my grandmother gained a lot of weight with her children. She told me that she gained like 70 pounds each time. And that's about what I did, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, so I think that it could be hereditary, and it could just be individual body, composition. So, because I was never a big person, when I felt overweight, I never was over 200 pounds. So, I mean, I just do feel that there's something internal in me that just, while pregnant, must eat constantly. So, now where I am, it's been 10 months, and I'm not happy with my body. It's true what they say, the second child is harder for you to lose weight. I was a little younger with Autumn, and she was my only baby, so when she went down for her nap, it was very easy for me to work out or do something, active. But now, with Lachlan, chasing both of them around, I have been actually more active than previously when I only had Autumn, when I would just sit there and hold her all day long. So I don't know why it's been so hard to lose the weight other than metabolism and internal reasons. So I'm looking into my diet first, and I think that that's going to be an important thing for me going forward, my diet and keeping track of my steps and just getting fitting in workouts. So I think that I'm going to start a series of videos, and I don't know how often I'll be able to do them because being a mom and a full-time teacher is tough with 2 babies. So I'm going to do the best I can with this, but I would really like to post videos every day of updates on how I did with my eating habits, my steps, workouts, things like that, snacks, so that you guys can kind of join with me while I'm trying to lose my weight. So my goal weight right now is 160. I want to get down to at least 160. But then when I'm there, I'm going to reassess myself and say, do I feel okay with how I am in my own skin? Am I comfortable? Do I like the way that my clothes fit? That type of thing. So I'm not doing this to say that women need to be a certain size. I'm not doing this to put larger women or small women down. I personally just have a comfort zone. And when I was too small, I didn't like that. I felt not attracted to myself or to other people. When I was too large, and currently, I don't feel comfortable either. So I have this kind of happy place where I like my body to be. And that is why I'm doing this. So please don't think that this is for body image and society. It is not. I could care less what people think about me right now. Although it is a little annoying when I go out to the store somewhere and they say, "When are you due?" And I tell them, I just had 2 babies. But really, I teach high school, so I have students asking me all the time, "Are you pregnant? Are you having another baby?" And I really don't get offended. And with Autumn, after I had Autumn, I did a little bit, but now I'm just so used to it, and I'm just like, look, I've had 2 babies, my body is never going back into those skinny jeans like they did before. So I know that, and I'm comfortable with that. But again, I just want to do this for me. I want to be able to fit into some of my clothes again and not maternity clothes anymore. I just don't feel 100% comfortable with my body. So my body's been through a lot. It's been, through a lot over the years, up and down, except for that stretch of years where, I want to say it was 6 good years where I was kind of in an okay place, but then it went either too low or a little too high. So I want to get back to where I was, and then if I have myself on a routine, then it'll stay there. So I'm going to do workouts, meal planning, and exercise, the step tracker to keep track of everything. So I hope that you guys will join me on this journey. I hope that it's inspiring to you to know that other people are going through this type of thing, or if you gained a lot of weight during your pregnancy, don't feel like a weirdo or somebody that's, not normal, because every person is different. And if you gained barely any weight when you were pregnant, that's normal for you too. There's some women that I know that complain that they were scared because they didn't gain enough weight while they were pregnant, and then they had beautiful babies afterwards. There's no complications. So you can't compare yourself to other people. And even if you're just in kind of a similar journey yourself, where you're just not happy with where you are, either on the low end or the high end, and you want to make a change, You know, I hope that this can help inspire you to do something about that. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this didn't get too involved, or too personal rather. I just think that sharing some of these things might be helpful to people that have experienced similar situations. So please, in the comments below, just leave a comment if you've ever experienced this kind of struggle internally with yourself over your weight, or when you were pregnant and worries about your weight. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.